Hello, Leapers, and welcome back to the Quantum Leap podcast. I'm Albie, and we're here with Chris.
Hi.
And we are so fortunate to have with us from the Family Treasure, the 10th episode of season 2 of Quantum Leap, Hollie Bahar. How are you doing?
Hello, good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed this episode. We just got to see it, I think, yesterday, and it was down to the wire, and it was just an exciting episode. And I really want to talk about the whole episode, but before that, I want to get to know you a little bit. Can we talk about how you got into the industry? Like, what made you want to be an actor, director, producer?
Yeah,
Writer?
gosh, I wish I had an exciting story. I'm from Peoria, Illinois. It's a great city. It is smack in the middle of Illinois, and I wouldn't say it's a super artsy city. So growing up, no one really tells you, like, you can go be an actor. That I kind of had to discover that on my own. I loved acting. I did theater since the time I was probably like 8 or 9. And then as I got older, I was like 17, everyone's deciding, where they're going to go to college, what they want to do. And I just I didn't want to do anything else. And I was like, can I do this? Like, can I make a career out of this? And my parents are amazing, super supportive, and were like, yes, you should absolutely try. But yeah, it's not like LA when you grow up here, and that's a very known career. So I kind of had to discover that on my own and find my way to it by the time I graduated high school. And but yeah, my love for it comes from just a love of performing and all these different creative outlets, and acting was the main one that I chose.
Your Quantum Leap fan cred just went up by, multitudes because you're from Peoria and there is an original series episode called Good Morning Peoria. So everybody was thinking of that as you said Peoria, just so you know.
Oh, amazing. I love it. Everyone always, whenever I say I'm from Peoria, they're like, why have I heard of that? And there was an old saying that used to be, if it plays in Peoria, it goes back to like vaudeville, which is so funny that it's not a super artsy town now, but Peoria.
So what was that journey like from deciding to become a actor and actually moving out to LA and becoming an actor?
It was linear in my mind. I always knew that I wanted to come up and end up in LA. But I kind of was trying to find a middle ground with my parents. And, I come from a very traditional city where, you go to college, you get your 4 years in, get a degree. And so which I totally respect. I just wasn't really sure what the avenue was for an actor. So I briefly went to North Carolina, and that was when the Southeast, particularly Wilmington, North Carolina, was getting a bunch of tax incentives for film and television. So I was like, oh, I can go do this thing in a bit of a smaller pond and kind of just figure it out while I'm also going to college, and there are some acting opportunities here. So I only lived there for about a year because my heart was set on the West Coast. So I got some experience in North Carolina, went home, told my parents I was no longer going to go to college and I was going to go out to LA. So, and then I ended up here, and I've been here ever since.
I mean, that's brave. That's a really brave move.
The bravery of a 19, 20-year-old. I mean, I don't think I'm that brave now, but you're young and you're like, oh, nothing can go wrong. It's my dream.
When you're 19, you think, yeah, I'm right about everything. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
But
thank God for that, though.
Yeah, but you were right. So
yeah. But I'm always right. No, thank God for that, because it got me out here and truly had no experience, no friends out here, no ties out here. Didn't come out with an agent or a manager, and I just that blind faith of just I'll figure it out. And it took me a decade, but we got here.
So Blind Faith is also the name of another Quantum Leap episode. You are on fire.
I wish this was on purpose and I just dropped these Easter eggs the whole time. Turns out I'm an absolute expert.
You are, yes.
Yes.
No, I wish I was that cool.
So what's that feeling like when you can call home and say, "I'm going to be on NBC this Tuesday night. Make sure you watch it."
It's a great feeling, honestly. It is like, like I said, it's been over a decade in the making of trying to work consistently as an actor. And the last few years have been great, but every time you get to call home, especially to a family who's not, doesn't live out here and is not as immersed in the industry as I am. You hear so many crazy stories when you live out here day to day, but calling home and telling them that I booked a job is like their excitement fuels me for so long. They're so proud, and I'm always so proud to share things with them. So it's a fun phone call to make.
So what are some of the things that you got between moving to LA and Quantum Leap?
I mean, the first few years that I lived here, I wasn't totally pursuing. I was pursuing acting, but I really just focused on classes and learning what the heck I was doing. Still am learning what the heck I'm doing every single job. But yeah, my first TV job was in 2016, and it was one line on This Is Us.
Mm.
And my first ever job was I got to hang out with Sterling K. Brown, Justin Hartley. I mean, I was having the time of my life. And they're just absolute class acts. So I was like, my bar for experience on set was already very high from that time. But I was there for like a couple hours, said my one line, went home. But it was amazing. So what else? I did an episode of Westworld, which
Ooh,
was also
yes.
just an unreal experience. Um, Quite possibly one of my best days on a job. Just,
Absolutely love that show.
they shoot on film. They take their time. We move so fast in TV, and it works all these different sorts of muscles. But Westworld, we took 12 hours on one scene, and it was such a gift to, work with Ed Harris and just bounce off of him. And it was such a dream day and just a really special show to work on because I love that genre too. Anything sci-fi, otherworldly, which is why Quantum Leap is fun too.
When I first saw that Mexican town in this episode, I was thinking Westworld. I think they used it on Westworld. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure they did. We were looking when we were sitting there on the ranch, we were like looking up what else had shot there, and Westworld definitely had it. It looked familiar.
Hmm. Yeah, immediately
Um,
I recognized it.
yeah, yeah, very familiar. And then I did a season of a show on Paramount Plus called Wolfpack with
Yes.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, which was
Mhm.
really cool. We unfortunately just got canceled, but that was really, really fun.
You were playing the park ranger or something like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember.
Prisha,
Yeah.
Ranger Prisha.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was fun. I got to like run around in the woods in Atlanta, and I was like constantly dirty or in a fire or yelling at someone. It was a lot of fun.
Hmm. Very, very good character you had on Wolfpack, but very different from the character you played on Quantum Leap.
Very different. Yeah, very different presenting, but kind of similar women when you strip it back.
Mm.
People who like rules and they like things the way that they are, and very strong women, opinionated, so there are some similarities, but very on the surface different.
I have to ask. I don't know if you can see because our recording software might not show my whole shot, but I have a cardboard cutout of Sarah Michelle Gellar behind me.
I
Uh,
can't see it, but that's
okay,
amazing.
but because I'm a fan of Buffy and all that stuff, but being on the set with such a legend, what was that like? And did you learn anything from her?
Yes, she's a legend. She's an icon. All the things that you hope that Sarah Michelle Gellar is, she is. She was also an executive producer on the show, so she was in producer mode a lot of the time too. And it was so wonderful to watch her work. That woman knows what she wants. She knows how to ask for it in a respectful, direct way, and also crack a joke at the same time. She's very funny, very witty, really quick. And yes, I always felt like I was learning from her. Anytime I was in a scene with Sarah Michelle or Rodrigo Santoro, both of them who have been doing this for double, triple the amount of time I have, I was constantly trying to absorb everything that they were doing. And it would be as little as Sarah, even technical things. There was a scene where we're going up the stairs and Sarah turns to me and is like, hey, walk on the balls of your feet, just because that'll save sound in the edit. And it's going to save us having to do more and more takes because our feet are loud on these old wood stairs. And like, then we did it and it was perfectly quiet. And I was like, man, that's just like, and that's the tip of the iceberg, but she's such a veteran. Yeah, she's a powerhouse. I was so inspired by her, and watching her be a producer too. She was, we had a very diverse cast and crew, but she was still one of the women in a power position in a more male dominated producing team. And so it was really cool to like see her in her power and do her thing. And yeah, she's an icon. I was just always like, oh, I hope she likes me, like I just was nervous around her, but she's so cool.
I love hearing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you get the part of Sarah in Quantum Leap?
Well, do I have a story for you? I don't know how much you guys know or what Wilder has told you, but in the span of a few days, so I had taped on, I think like it was a Sunday night, turned it into my agent on Monday morning. By Monday, 5 o'clock, I had booked the role. And originally I had booked, there was another sister that was supposed to be a part of this family. And I was her. And she was like very bookish, kind, sweet, kind of leading this adventure. She was the one that really wanted to go follow in her dad's footsteps and really kind of the sweet mediator of all the siblings. And so yeah, found out that Monday night and then went to a fitting and a photo shoot the next day. And by Wednesday evening, so we had done a family photo shoot. And I met everyone else that we're going to be working with. And there was another actress, Nadia, who was originally supposed to play Sarah. And she was wonderful, but she ended up getting really sick. And I didn't quite know how sick when I left the photo shoot. And I get a call at like 9 p.m. the night before I have a 7 a.m. call of my first day on this job. And it is Martin, the showrunner. And as a guest star, I'm like, oh my God. Oh no. Why is the showrunner calling me? I'm getting fired right now. And I don't know why. I don't know what I did. We haven't even shot anything, but I'm getting fired. That is not a normal call for, a one episode guest star. So I was, I can't cuss on this, I'm guessing, but I was sweating it. And he says, hey, so we have a situation. Well, the other actress is too sick to do this job. And it's, she understands that. We understand that. But it is the 11th hour. And instead of putting someone in her role, we're giving it to you. And I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you. I was a little shell-shocked because I had already just barely learned this other character because, I got the sides on Sunday and it's Wednesday and I still hadn't seen the full script. But yeah, and they were so nice about it. They were like, we trust you. We saw your tape. You're going to do great. And everyone knows the situation that we've just thrown a completely new character on you the night before a shoot, so everyone will be there to kind of support you through it. And I mean, what are you going to say? Of course, I'm like, yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, right.
This is where I tried to trust a decade of training to kick in because I was like, oh, shoot, I am going to have to fly by the seat of my pants here. And then Jude, the director, called me right after that. She is such a gift. Also such a luxury to be able to talk to the director before you do um, any show, but again, one like Quantum Leap that moves so fast. We shot so much in 7, 8 days. And she was like, welcome to TV. What can I say? And I was like, yep, here we go. So I got some new sides, maybe at like 10 p.m. Still hadn't seen the full script. And I'm like, pretty much for the next week, I'm learning the next day's work the night before or the morning of, which is really unlike me. I'm like a binder, highlighter, tabbed actor, and this was like completely, I wasn't able to do that. So that's how I arrived to Sarah,
Oh,
flying
wow.
by the seat of my pants.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it, like I said, I had to trust myself, but honestly, I looked to Jude, the director, and Shakina and Adrita, the writers, and Wilder and Ray, constantly looking for support and guidance and direction because we're going so fast and I don't even know who this character is yet. And I'm finding her, in the small moments I have in between shooting to like come up with who she is. But I was really trusting the people around me to help, guide me into that.
What was the first day you shot? What part of the episode?
It was, we shot the end first. Gosh, let me try and think. We shot one of the final scenes first where we are in, oh gosh, no, I actually don't remember what the very first scene we shot was. It might have been the reading of the will.
Mhm.
I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm telling you, it was all a blur. But and then also on our first day, we did the flood. So
Oh, wow.
quite a way to be introduced to the show.
Right. Jumping right in.
I
Yeah.
No
wonder
pun
if
intended, right?
that's because if you got washed away, then they could recast before they shot anything else.
They were like, yeah, let's just see how she does in the water and then we'll really decide. Man, what a bonding experience with Ray and Wilder because we were not ready for what that was about to be.
Yeah, that was an amazing scene. It must have been just insane. And I mean, you guys are getting hit with the water and you're running from the water. Can you tell us about sort of the logistics of all of that? If you recall, I know you said it's a
Yes.
blur. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that I remember very vividly. Yeah, so we're on the Universal lot and they have this really cool, I don't even know what to call it. It's picture like a really big rocky hill. It's not quite a mountain. And there's like a contraption up at the top of this hill that just lets loose like a dam, like a bunch of water. And we had to kind of run out into the middle of this, look up, see the water coming, and then run down and hide behind this boulder for protection. And we watched the stunt people do it, and they were laying behind the rock, and they were like, okay, Holly, Wilder, and Ray, look, this is how it's going to hit you. The water's going to gently cascade over you. And it's up to you to control whether it hits you or not. You're going to have to do some acting, scream, let it hit your face. And we were like, great, okay, this is going to be fun. We we do it, and we're running down this hill. Also, I have to be the last one because my character would be. She's not super agile, a little scared of everything. So I'm trusting Ray to have us leave at the right time. That was all on his cue, us running away from the water. So there were a couple takes where I was like, oh God, it's like literally hitting my heels. And I was like, Ray, you better go. But yeah, we get behind this rock expecting it to be kind of similar to the stunt rehearsal. And it completely enveloped us. There were no lines being said. And I don't even know if you could hear our screams. We were like fully drenched and like grabbing onto each other and screaming. And it worked because that's what it was supposed to be. But it was so freezing. And so intense that I don't think any of us were ready. We came out of it like, everyone was like, "Are you guys okay?" It's like, I think so. I have to be. But yeah, it was wild. But everyone was it was safe, and the stunt team was amazing and making it look even better and walking us through it.
The scene was amazing because when that water comes down and it comes around the curve, it reminded me like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Oh
So
yeah.
you guys, it comes together very nicely in the finished episode. So I hope that it was worth it for you. It was worth it for us. So
I'm glad. I can't wait to see how that part turned out in particular. But yeah, it was worth it. It was like such a great bonding experience on our first day when you have to
Mhm.
play siblings with someone and you're just going through this really bizarre experience together. So it was worth it. It was honestly a good time.
Cool.
You and Wilder really did play that sibling dynamic perfectly, I think. Did the off camera relationship seem to mirror that at all?
I would say so, for sure. Wilder and I bonded right off the bat. Just got along amazingly. I felt like I'd known them for years. It was so easy for us to act like siblings. We just had great friendship and chemistry, and we leaned into it really hard because what choice do you have? You have 8 days to like do your job. And so we were like, okay, we're siblings, and really lean into the banter and the fighting and the touching and all of that. And that was something Jude really stressed to us too. Any moment you can find to create some sort of sibling habit or thing that you do to each other all the time, let's come up with those. So that was really helpful. But yeah, Wilder and I got along so well to the point where we were doing the reveal scene where they reveal their binder, and there were times I was not supposed to be crying or they were not supposed to be crying, but we would look at each other and be like, and I was like not supposed to have tears in my eyes at that moment, but we just totally hit it off. So yeah, I would say our friendship helped the sibling dynamic a lot.
That was an amazing scene. We had spoken to Wilder about it, but I wanted to get your point of view because not only do we have that reveal, which is wow, what a reveal,
Yeah.
but the reaction that you had as a character being the straight laced one, now hearing the dynamic that you both had off camera, I curious to know where you pulled sort of you had some disdain and some I don't know if I'm asking the question right, but it was as much your moment as it was Wilder's moment in many ways, because
Yeah.
then you had a revelation at the end of the scene. So
Right.
I want to know like how both of those things sort of played into each other.
I mean, that moment is so beautiful. Wilder gives so much in every scene and every moment. It was so easy to work with them. But I think from my character, Sarah's point of view, she here's this person she loves so much, despite what you see on the surface, but who she just has struggled to understand her whole life and also has felt very misunderstood and very, having to be a certain way. And I always felt like there was a part of Sarah, and I think we can all understand this as people, that it is so I envy those people who are fully themselves all the time, and that is so beautiful. And Sarah was never able to do that. She didn't have that luxury. She was a housewife in the 1950s. There are certain gender roles that were expected, and she had to stay pretty, keep a happy home, live with this husband that was really awful to her. And so there was also a lot of, I think, yeah, envy that not that Wilder's character had been struggling, but that they were so proud to be who they were. So it was a huge journey, I think. Yeah, for Sarah also coming to terms with understanding her sibling better and, understanding herself a little bit better too. But I I have siblings. I'm one of five, and I think it's so easy. I love them so much. It is so easy to tap into that feeling of like they could tell me anything and I would love them, even if I didn't understand it. So I tried to remember that human part of Sarah, even though she's comes off as really cold and not wanting to understand more. And, you know, in the beginning, she's really resistant to try to understand Dean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Combining the two characters or melding the two characters that like you replaced the role of and you added the two characters together, how did that change from what preparation you did before that to the final character? And were you able to put both of those like personalities in there, or did you just pick one or the other?
I think a lot of my original character, really, when things got split up and I was given the character of Sarah, that original character, the essence of who they were, really was given to Wilder. That adventurous spirit, the passion, the wanting to find the treasure, that was a lot of who that original character was. So I think I didn't take a lot of that with me to Sarah. Sarah felt like her own person entirely. I mean, there's similarities. They're all siblings. There's the humanity that links all of them, but Sarah, I really felt like I needed to start fresh. There is something about I went from second sister to oldest sister. So there's something about an oldest sister. I have an older sister. I channeled her a lot, in ways. She is very kind, and she is not like Sarah in a lot of ways. But yeah, there's a completely different essence to the oldest daughter in a family, and Sarah's really had kind of had an isolated experience in the family. So I started fresh with her.
Given a choice, were you happier to play Sarah, or did you like the other character better, or did you even have a preference?
I didn't. That's a good question. I didn't get to live in the original character's shoes for very long. It was really the span of my audition and a day or two after that, which was really just like fittings and photo shoots. I was doing actor work on the side, but I really liked her. There was something very, very, and just very endearing and kind, and there's just a sweetness that I wanted her to have, and that's fun. That was fun for me. I normally play characters that are a little more reserved or closed off, or maybe Sarah leaning. But I will say at the end of the day, I think it was such a happy accident because I really like to play very complicated characters. I think it makes my job so much more interesting, and it's easy to look at a character who's kind of mean and nasty and be like, "Oh, that's the villain." But anyone in that position has a justification for the things they do and say and their experiences. So I think at the end of the day, Sarah was really fun and just like a complex challenge for me to make her this like whole woman who's also very hurt and scared of the world and the things that she doesn't understand. So I'm happy with the way things worked out.
I think it came across on camera, and I'd like to when I've seen the episode twice now, and I look at Sarah as a foil, but a loving foil. She's not a
Hmm.
bad guy. She's
Yeah.
she's part of the family, and she's team family, but she's the one with the differing point of view, and in many ways, she's as much of an outsider as Dean.
Hmm.
And that's why I think that scene between them was so effective at the end
Yeah.
when with the reveal and everything, as I'd mentioned earlier. So good job. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
you
Yeah, I
needed you
felt
needed to hear that from me specifically, right? Good job.
no, no, you've seen it. I haven't. We were moving so fast. I think anyone in any job knows some days when they, they close their laptop at the end of the day, or they sign off at the end of the day, they're like, oh, I think that went well, or that presentation was great, or I bombed that. I felt like we were going so fast, and I was, so much was thrown at me. I felt like at the end of each day, I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm doing. I hope I have stepped up to the plate in the way that they've asked me to. So that is nice to hear, because yeah, this was one of the jobs where I was like, I'm never fully sure that I did a great job, but this was one where I was like, we will see when we see. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wilder and Ray could like enjoy the adventure as they were going, even if they were in real life, like their characters also did. So was it more difficult for you when you kind of weren't supposed to be an adventurous character, and like if you were having fun, to suppress that?
Yeah, yes and no. I think we did manage to have so much fun just shooting this whole episode. I hope that everyone agrees. I'm pretty sure we all had a great time. I mean, we were doing crazy things. We were trekking through the desert. We were in caves, and some real, some fake, and, getting drowned and just doing so much. So it was a lot of fun. But I think yes, as Holly, there were times I was like, oh, I want to get in on the fun. But at the end of the day, it wasn't hard because, I set me aside and just, live in Sarah's shoes for a little bit. So, and, it's fun to come up with what someone like that might do in that situation, and how far back they're going to hang, and, is the dust going to bother them, or so that it was a fun challenge. But yeah, Sarah aside, I still managed to have a great time.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So what's it like working with Raymond Lee? Everybody we talk to says he's horrible, but did you have that experience? I'm only teasing.
Yeah. So the worst. I never want to see him again. No, I'm sure I'm gonna be such a broken record. I've also seen some of the episodes of your podcast, and I am about to be a broken record. Every aspect of what Ray brings to the table is very, very impressive. He is wonderful. Everything that everyone says is very true. I was like constantly in awe of how he was able to show up, be a very talented actor, be so present, but also be so mindful of every single department and every person on that set. And it is the reason that the set is so happy and positive and flows the way that it does. Like, it is not an accident. It is because of the people that are leading the charge there, and Ray is one of those. But someone in a position like his is so responsible for the tone sometimes of that day, and that, given the circumstances of everything we've talked about and the new role and all of the action we had to do, that could have been it already was difficult in a good way, challenging, but it could have been so unpleasant if he was unpleasant. And he was so wonderful and so patient. And yeah, like one day there was a lot of smoke, and the extras in the cantina were smoking cigars, and one of the background actors was having a bit of a hard time, I think, with the smoke. And Ray made sure to stop everything and made sure the medic came to check on him and got him outside for some fresh air. And that is just like, you have to be so capable to be able to be in your actor mode, but also be paying attention to all of that. So I was impressed by him at every turn.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. He's and Caitlin, I mean, just, I got to set and I was like, is this every day? You guys are all like this happy to be here every day. It was really amazing.
Cool.
That bar scene, I really liked your acting in the bar scene. There was, I think, two moments for me where your acting and your character were just like so real for me. I found myself like lost in it, and which is crazy for a TV
Oh,
show or
thanks.
one episode. But one of the moments was uh, after repeated watching and knowing uh, Sarah's backstory with her husband and how she's unsatisfied in her relationship,
Hmm.
and actually like being complimented by the bartender that is flirting with her and having that feeling again. What was that? What did you do to make that scene so real?
Um, well, Keon, the actor in the scene with me, wonderful, also just very present and gave a lot of good improv. So that, makes my job really easy. But, Sarah's lonely. I think at the core of her life, she's lonely. She has a husband and children, but she's feels very alone a lot of the time. So, and like we talked about earlier, she's as much of an outsider in her own way as Dean is, and that's a very isolating experience. And that was the bright spot in her day. She had someone pay attention to her and really notice her, and she ate it up. That's sometimes you need someone to tell you look pretty, and
Mhm.
Sarah really needed that day. So yeah, that was nice for her.
Yeah, I always need that, so I understand that.
You
Um,
look pretty today.
oh, thank you. I was fishing.
You're welcome.
The other moment I loved from you was that the binding scene, and when you and Wilder were working together, and when Sarah was trying to really understand what Dean was saying, but it was all new to her, and it
Yeah.
like what was going through your head, and how did you approach that scene?
Very delicately. That was it felt that scene felt so collaborative, between discussions with Wilder, with Shakina, with Jude and Adrita, we all kind of came together and talked about what is going on here. It's a woman in the 1950s who just genuinely does not understand Wilder's character. I never wanted it to feel transphobic or anything. Even we were very careful to never dip our toes in that pool, because that's not what was going on, and that's not the story we're telling. It's just a woman who did not understand what that meant. And so yeah, I approached it very delicately, and by the time we got there at that place in the story, they'd been through so much together. I think the least I could do or Sarah could do was try to understand. And she owed Wilder's character that, Dean that, and just a little bit of curiosity went a long way in remembering this is my sibling, and that is all that matters here. So yeah, we approached it very delicately and really I tried to come from a place of curiosity and discovery and just listening, which are not things Sarah had done previously.
I think that's finally I'm able to put my finger on why that scene was so effective and affecting to me. You had people who didn't understand, but there wasn't this central feeling of rancor between the characters. There
Yeah.
was always a willingness, but just maybe an obstacle to
Hmm.
get around rather than a disdain. And
Yep.
I didn't understand why the scene was as effective to me personally as it was until this moment. So thank you for helping me clarify that in my
Yeah,
head.
I'm glad it was effective, and it felt the way that we meant it to. As an actor, that was a tightrope to walk to
Sure.
to make sure it didn't come off any other way than just someone who doesn't understand that experience or what it means to be Dean.
Hmm.
But I'm glad it resonated and was effective.
And just a question about like practicality in the adventurous scenes in Mexico and in the town. Um, Wilder and Ray are wearing jeans, and your character is just like head to toe in a
Skirt.
dress and all fancy clothes. And what was that like, just getting around in that outfit?
You know, it was surprisingly comfortable. I had a nice, loose, flowy skirt. My boots took some breaking in, but honestly, not bad. And there were times where we were all actually very hot because we were in the desert and we didn't have to act. We were just like sweating and um no, I was comfortable. The wardrobe team, I mean, you know, not only did I have to pivot at the 11th hour, so did every other department that had anything to do with me. That costume we did not previously try on. I had never seen that before in my life. They took my sizes, they made it happen overnight. Um, I mean, same with hair and makeup. I sat down and told Katie, the makeup artist, I was like, "So I'm Sarah now." She was like, "Okay, okay, great." Everyone, it like took a second to get everyone on board, but once they did, they're amazing. But yeah, no, my costume was actually very comfortable. No complaints.
Cool.
What was the interaction with Shakina like? And did she explain the script to you different than was written, like in more detail of Sarah's character?
Yeah, Shakina is amazing. She was such a gift to have on the set, but also this episode in particular, because um, who better to tell the story than someone that has lived it and understands it and can give color to an experience that I have not lived through. And so, yeah, there were a lot of moments where Shakina and I would step aside and talk about, you know, how do we accomplish the things that we spoke about and make sure that Sarah's not just a spiteful brat, that there's a lack of education and knowledge and understanding in the 50s and in that time. But Shakina was very helpful in helping me color in the things that weren't on the page in terms of experiences that she'd been through or things that family members had said to her or, you know, just looks that people would give. Any little things like that um, were really helpful. And we were like, I got to give it to Jude and the writers. Everyone was very collaborative and very malleable, as much as you can be on network TV, to be like, oh, that line, nope. Everyone thinks that feels weird. Great, let's change it. There was so much changing, but I think it was all for the better. But yeah, Shakina was huge in that process to make this episode work.
It's amazing.
And working
Yeah.
with Jude, how is she as a director?
Oh, so much fun. I knew from the second Jude called me, which again, I've done, you know, a handful of TV jobs now, and I have never had a director call me prior to a job, which on a film, yeah, you know, you get the luxury of time, but never on network TV. And, you know, having her be able to text her and having her call us and giving me the heads up at how fast Quantum Leap moves was such a blessing. But yeah, I just kept telling Jude, I was like, thank you for even just taking the time to call all of us. It's huge. But she's so much fun. She is. I think what's fun about Jude is she's very collaborative, but you can also tell she's having fun. And we were always coming up with things, and she would tell us to goonie up or make it more like the Goonies. And I can't tell you how many times I heard goonie up, but we knew exactly what she meant. You know, heads closer together and the big eyes and all of that fun stuff. But she's a blast and so talented. Like you know, she's the director, so I was always looking to her as my North Star to be like, what am I doing? Help. And she always took the time to give me really good actor notes. I think sometimes you don't always get an actor's director, and she is absolutely an actor's director. So, A plus.
Pacing, it was so fast on Quantum Leap. How did it differ from Wolfpack? And did it depend on like a network show versus a streaming show? Or is it just different per show?
Um, kind of different. It is different per show always. Quantum Leap moves quickly in all aspects in general in terms of the pace at which you're shooting, but also this episode in particular, we talked a lot about pacing our dialogue up to talk, you know, more like we're in the 1950s and they're talking very fast and my character's always like this, and that clipped really quick. So Jude was always telling us to speak just a little bit faster. So everything felt very fast. And, you know, if I compare that to, like I said, Westworld, where we had 12 hours for one scene, that was, you know, just a completely different energy, and both good and fun, just very different. But Wolfpack was somewhere in the middle. You know, it was a new show, first season, so there was definitely an energy of we gotta move, we have a lot to do, there's a lot to accomplish. Everyone's still kind of finding their groove with each other since it was new, but at least my scenes never felt too rushed, I would say, on Wolfpack. It's a bit slower paced if we're comparing it to Quantum Leap, and a lot of my scenes that involved my character were, I was always asking like important questions, and, you know, where's so and so and how did they get there? So there was always a lot of like, there's a lot of time and space to ask those questions in the scenes that I was in. So it felt slower than Quantum Leap, but I think that's the best part about, one of the fun things about what we do is I never know what you're going to get till you start to get in there and feel the groove out with everyone. And it's different every time.
And I think it really helps for this episode because it's very action adventure. So maybe just that feeling of being on a nonstop train helps.
Oh yeah, it has to move. Yeah.
I have to ask a silly question. I think I'm asking everybody on this episode. Did you end up with the key, the prop of the key?
Like in real life?
Yes.
Yeah, like, is it hanging around your neck right now?
Do you have the key?
Who told you? No.
No?
Oh, wait,
wasn't you?
No, sadly I don't. I don't know who has the key.
Okay, that's the mystery. Did you
wish
get to
I
keep
did.
anything? Did you get to keep anything?
Oh, you know, I didn't. I know Wilder got I think a piece of wardrobe, which was like worked out, and that was really cool. But no, I didn't ask, and there was nothing nothing that I tried to steal. So I was like, you know, as a guest star, I'm like, I'm not gonna rock the boat, just gonna do my job. But one of my favorite scenes was with the key, when I reach in the hole and scream at them. So I wish I would have gotten the key, but no, I don't know who has it.
Yeah, you're not wearing a string of pearls or anything.
No.
No key.
It was very Temple of Doom, that scene. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun to shoot. Each time we did it, despite my voice telling me not to, I would scream just a little bit longer to see how long they would scream with me. There was one time we went so long, and I was like, I know they're wondering what I'm doing, but I just stood there and screamed forever. But that was one of my favorite things to shoot. So the key would have been good memorabilia.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out, Albie. That's the mystery of this show. So.
I know. We'll have to find out. Ask Jude; she might know.
All right.
Maybe she's next in the barrel. So,
yes.
Well, Hollie, you've been so amazingly generous with your time. We don't like to overstay our welcome, so I just want to ask, in parting, are there any messages that you have for the leapers out there who might be listening?
Oh, I hope you enjoy the episode. Keep watching the show. Keep supporting it. It's a group of incredible people, and I know they'd all be very grateful. But thanks for watching.
And thank you, Hollie Bahar, for appearing with us here on the Quantum Leap podcast.
Thank you for having me.